Okay, so Liam, are there any issues you frequently encounter or issues you wish more people were more mindful of across all disciplines to make the collaboration a smoother process? So talk about what we love, but what are we trying to learn about?
Yes. I think one of the biggest things is hosts. From electrical, all of our, or most of our things are dependent on hosts and what they're hosted to. And so deleting that host, sometimes it's unavoidable, Revit. But if you can edit it and modify it, then all of my lovely devices don't get orphaned by losing whatever they were hosted to. Just fall off the wall. It's space. They don't update with a new wall that's been drawn because they're no longer associated to it. And that's probably the biggest one that we face frequently.
Yeah, you remember that well. How about you, Brad?
This is for me, with all the tech, of all the 3D collaboration that we do, kind of like you can give people the tools on kind of a BIMbc kind of perspective of it. You can set up the models, everyone's got their individual model, everyone's linked to everyone else's discipline model in, and then you'll see some people, some will get the result into Revit and everything's clashing. It's kind of a case that you can lead the horse to water, but at the end of the day, the people that are modeling, they have to want to collaborate. They've got to turn these models on, look at them. It's so easy just to get yourself in your own discipline. We're like, I'm filming this room, I'm doing all this, and I'm just going to turn that stuff off because it's too busy in here, right? I can't see it, and then they don't go back and check that. Like you've got to use those tools. And again, someone mentioned like taking ownership of projects. You've got to get that ownership in people that they really want to avoid clashes, put things in the right place, and help other disciplines and know a little bit about what other disciplines have to go through. I always think about the ends of building mechanics. So just before you, cable tray. We're always clashing between us, right? And it's funny, sometimes even in our company, we want a cable tray and they won't look at any of my duct work. You're just like, it was right there, right? So sometimes that's a challenge, getting people to take that initiative.
Yeah, and so you think it's a lot of the time they're just like turning it off and just not looking at it.
Yeah, they can be like that. So it's like, I'm in this room now, I've got a markup, I've got an idea of what I need to do, and they'll just kind of go for it. And sometimes, we do get cases like that, right? So it's also checking up on people, making sure that they're, and Revit, this is why it's so good, because we're getting multiple people viewing that and seeing clashes and kind of detect, just make sure you do this small, have a look and keep in mind that there are other disciplines working. So,
yeah, Mary, I see you nodding your head and agreeing.
Okay, so I think starting from the architecture side of things, if we're not building the models accurately, then that's sort of where a whole bunch of issues start right from that set. I really try to get people to focus on building a model the way you're going to build it in the real world. We don't build walls from level 1 to level 6. They go from floor to floor. And so just really getting people to wrap their heads around what we're making a model to look like the building. We're putting all model pieces in the right place. Then all of our consultants that we're working with can see things properly, and then we better troubleshoot where things are. And I think somebody else said that too, that really it comes down to proper training of how to model at the outset. And I've had to fix so many models. So now I'd rather just empower people to build them properly. Yeah.
And the real compounding effect, if one discipline isn't as good as the others, then it's a lot easier for everyone else to go, well, I don't care.
Yeah. Setting that standard right from the beginning. Yeah. And what did Vance have to say?
Vance is, once preliminary design is done and we've established the structure that we need, the location of structural elements is largely driven by the architect. We prefer not to align our structure until architecture is frozen, which tends to be a tender. We spend large portions of our budget looking for discrepancies and aligning our walls, columns, openings, only to change with the next published model. If we must have a piece of structure in an exact location, we will tell you. and don't mess with our shear walls. Sometimes you can make them slightly shorter, but please don't put doors in them or ducts in them. And then for me personally, because I get this opportunity to add to Vanessa's answer, structural designs are required now by EGBC to have an independent review done of them before building permit. And, you know, as a tech, I don't know if it gets passed along by engineers or not. But those reviews take about 2 weeks typically. So we kind of need our building plans to be locked in like at least 2 weeks before that. So 4 weeks before BP, we're looking to have things locked in so that the engineers can design, and then we can get it all drafted and make sure it's all tickety-boo before it gets checked over. So
Does that happen?
I was gonna say, does that happen?
but
Yeah, no, exactly.
and
Just to qualify, sort of, because when I'm reading what I sent you, I'm looking at that going, well, that seems a bit harsh, and it seems like we don't care about where we place things. And I think the answer will come in the next couple questions, but it goes to the projects that we typically work on. So I'm going to say 75% of the projects we work on are 6-story wood frame, developer, cheaper class of projects, so to speak. They're not the institutional projects, the complex projects. When we get into things like that, like I'm working on the Victoria Airport, I'm modeling to a high LOD with high confidence right from the get-go. And so a different class of projects requires a different approach to how we model and how we coordinate. And you don't always have to make sure that everything is within a ½ inch everywhere on something that, you know, if you got a standard 6-story wood frame, is there a need to make sure that everything aligns at your 50%, at your 75%? Or is the concept there for us to proceed in design, and then as we get close and everything's hammered down, because the client's going to keep changing the suites right up until building permit and even after building permit. So I just wanted to kind of clarify the approach is different depending on project. Thanks.
And so I feel like, is there enough like honest conversation happening in startups? Like what different disciplines want to prioritize? Like where do you want to see that detail? Not just in terms of LOD, but like prioritizing like where you don't want to mess with other people's things. Like there's no flexibility about because I don't know if those types of conversations really happen at the beginning. It's like they don't happen until there's an issue sometimes. Bharat, what are your opinions on how collaboration should be smoother?
Yeah, so my thought regarding is we have to make our owners aware of BIM capabilities. So most of the time we have seen that BIM is not like available to our owners, and they are not able to understand that what all requirements they have to ask. So on BIM student housing project, we have seen that we have client representative who's able to understand all the requirements, and they have provided well-defined requirements. And based on that, currently we are doing 360 photos, we are doing clash detection, 4D sequencing, and so on. And the other issue which we have encountered is that consultants are hesitant to share their model. Yeah. So it's really important for us to have this model so that we can provide constructability feedback. And we always want to communicate that we are not using those models for directly building out of them. We are just doing constructability analysis. That's it. So for NAPKIN project, it's a Victoria Airport project. So we have converted 2D IFC set into 3D models so as to find constructability issues. So these are the two issues that you have to educate your owner and you have to share models.
Yeah.
So do you find, I know you were mentioning before, I mentioned before we started here, that on the mainland, some more of your projects are using Revit.
Yep.
Do you find they don't need to have the consultants models in the same way because they're using that software? You don't need to take their Revit models anymore. You can use Revit for your answers. Constructability?
No, even before the Bitstore, we are still doing our analysis. We are still doing misalignment reports. We are still doing LV metrics feedback.
Yeah, but in Revit, so you don't need people to actual Revit models sent to you. Do you?
We need models.
You still need the models, yeah,
Still
you can't do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's stuff. Okay.
Because Bitstore is a common data environment. It's
Yeah.
not like authoring software.
Right. Okay, that's good.
What kind of tolerances do you use with models? Like,
So,
what is
again-
your-
Yes, again, we follow architectural model. Because it contains a container information, which is grades, level, project coordinates, and we only follow those. And those informations are also provided in BIM execution plan. So we just make sure we are following those guidelines and we align all the models and we federate it, whether it is Autodesk Construction Cloud or whether it is Revit.